Exploring community-driven solutions for a safer, more inclusive subway experience. By Darius Spearman, African Elements. Support African Elements at patreon.com/AfricanElements and hear recent news in a single playlist. Additionally, you can gain early access to ad-free video content. The deployment of military and police in NYC subway. New York's move to boost subway safety by deploying the National Guard has sparked debate. Is it about safety, or is it more about control? Let's dig in. Military presence and public safety concerns. Governor Kathy Hochul's decision has brought soldiers to our subways. They stand, guns at their sides, in the very places we catch trains. Subway riders in New York City might notice some heavily armed military forces standing around on platforms after the state's Governor Kathy Hochul deployed the National Guard into the subway system last month, along with hundreds more New York State and MTA police officers. The route. Some see this as reassurance. Others feel a chill, wondering if the subway has become a battleground. Expert warnings and the efficacy of increased security. Experts question this approach. Does a soldier with a gun make a commute safer? Critics argue no, pointing out that it might instead paint a picture of a city under siege. Some critics said they were concerned the checks could lead to racial profiling. The Washington Post. The worry is that these measures could lead not to safety, but to division and fear. First, we're told our subways are safer. Crime is down, they say. So why the sudden show of force? It's a question that hangs in the air, unanswered. Next, we'll explore the impact of these measures on Black riders and the community at large as we unravel the complex tapestry of NYC subway security measures. Racial implications and community impact. The decision to increase security in New York subways has ignited a complex debate, especially regarding its impact on Black riders and the broader implications for community trust. Racial profiling and disproportionate impact on Black riders. The introduction of military and police forces into the subway system has sparked significant concerns about racial profiling, notably affecting Black commuters. This fear stems from a historical context where security measures disproportionately target communities of color. Bringing in this entity that we know has a negative disproportional prejudicial and targeted relationship with folks of color, we would expect youth of color specifically. Black youth to be disproportionately victimized by this move. The route. Moreover, the presence of armed personnel in transit areas not only raises questions about the necessity and proportionality of such measures, but also signals a potential shift in how authorities view and manage public spaces, especially those frequented by marginalized communities. Historical precedents and community trust. Furthermore, the deployment recalls memories of past security measures that have strained the relationship between law enforcement and New York communities. Such actions echo the heightened security responses seen in the aftermath of significant events, casting a long shadow over current initiatives. The guards and troopers will be stationed at the city's busiest stations to check bags for weapons, a show of force not often seen since the days following the September 11, 2001, attacks. The Washington Post. Additionally, this approach risks undermining the already fragile trust between the community and law enforcement, potentially setting back efforts to build safer, more inclusive public spaces. Consequently, it prompts us to consider whether these measures serve the public interest or whether they merely project an illusion of safety at the expense of civil liberties and community relations. As we proceed, examining the crime data that purportedly justifies this increased security presence becomes critical. This exploration will reveal whether the measures align with the actual needs and safety concerns of subway riders, or if they represent a broader trend towards militarization of public spaces without tangible benefits to public safety. Analyzing the crime data and safety measures. Let's dive into the numbers and plans behind the increased security in NYC subways. We're looking at what's really happening and why. Subway crime rates and trends. Crime rates have a story to tell us. Some folks say crime in the subway is way up. They point to big numbers to justify more cops and soldiers. But let's look closer. The number of serious crimes reported on the New York subway system in January rose almost 47% compared with the same month the previous year, according to NYPD data. The Washington Post. Yes, that sounds scary. But not all crimes are the same. Some are much worse than others. And more police might not stop them. Now, let's think about what makes us truly safe. Governor Hochul's 5-point safety plan. Governor Hochul has a plan. She says it's not just about the police or the military. She talks about mental health and cameras too. But one part is a bit worrying. The stepped-up law enforcement presence is part of what Hochul is calling a 5-point plan to address crime in the subway. The Washington Post. One idea is to keep some folks off the subway entirely. That sounds like it could leave some people out in the cold. So, we have to ask, is this the best way? Also, making things safer sounds good. But we need to make sure we're doing it right. Adding more eyes and ears could help. But those eyes and ears need to belong to folks who care about all of us, not just some of us. Public reaction and policy implications. Let's chat about how New Yorkers are feeling. We're peeking into the city's heartbeat on these security changes. Are people feeling safer, or is it more complicated? Mixed public sentiments and criticisms. People have lots to say about more police and soldiers in the subways. Some clap their hands. They feel safer. Others scratch their heads, worried about what it all means. On social media, writers both praised the plan and posted concern. The Washington Post. It's a mixed bag. Safety matters to everyone. But so does feeling free and respected. It's tricky. People want to get from here to there without fear. They also want to do it without feeling watched or judged. Political motivations and future directions. Now, let's think about the leaders making these decisions. Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams say they're keeping us safe. But politics is always playing in the background. I think the governor wants to try to convince New Yorkers that she's serious about crime and safety. The root. They're making moves. Some say it's about safety. Others whisper it's about looking strong. What's clear is their choices stir up big feelings and big debates. Also, what comes next? We're at a crossroads. It's about more than just the next train. It's about how we live together in a big, bustling city. How do we keep the peace and keep our freedoms too? Alternative approaches to enhancing subway safety. We've talked a lot about cops and soldiers in the subways. Now, let's explore some other ways to make rides safer for everyone. It's about finding solutions that work for all New Yorkers. Community-based solutions and preventative measures. Instead of just adding more uniforms, what if we tried other ideas? Think about it. Better lighting, more staff to help out, and programs for folks who need a hand. These changes could make a big difference. The actual way to make us safer is deeper investments into those resources that our communities need, the root. It makes sense, right? When people feel supported and not scared, things get better. Safety isn't just about stopping bad stuff. It's also about making good things happen more often. Calls for comprehensive reform and investment. And there's more we can do. Imagine if we focused on fixing the big picture. Better homes, schools, jobs, and healthcare. These are the building blocks of a safe and strong community. Also, let's talk about fairness. Everyone should have a fair shot. That means making sure the subway is a place where everyone can feel at ease. No one should feel left out or looked down on. Finally, we're all in this together. Making the subway safer is about more than rules and uniforms. It's about caring for our city and each other. Let's keep the conversation going and work together for a subway that welcomes everyone with open arms. About the author. Darius Spearman is a professor of Black Studies at San Diego City College, where he has been pursuing his love of teaching since 2007. He is the author of several books, including Between the Color Lines, A History of African Americans on the California Frontier through 1890. You can visit Darius online at africanelements.org.